What is up, everybody? This is Ankit from Codit, and in this video we're going to be creating this hamburger menu animation and this full screen navbar. And let me remind you again that I'm creating a video series in which I'll show you how to create this entire layout using pure HTML CSS and JavaScript. And I've already uploaded two videos on it. The first video shows the preview of this entire layout, and the second one shows how can you create this header with this animated logo and the hamburger menu. So now let's get started.
So this is where we ended up in our previous video. We created the header with this animated logo and this hamburger menu. And today in this video we'll create the hamburger menu animation and the full screen navbar. So now let's jump to our code, and here after the header where we stopped, after this I'll create a div with the class of nav wrapper. Inside that I'll have a nav with the class of navbar. Inside that I'll create an unordered list with the class of nav list. Inside that I'll have li with the class of nav item and anchor tag with the class of nav link. In that stuff I'll give hashtag, and here I'll add some text home, and then my skills, inside that my projects, and at last I'll add contact me. Save this, and now if we try to see here in the output we have a super simple nav bar. Okay, so what we have to do is, first of all, we have to give it height of 100 width and width of 100%, and after that I want this to overwrite my header. So let's jump to our CSS, and at the bottom I'll get nav wrapper, and here I'll give it a height of 100 vh and width of 100%. So it gets as we said here, but now I want my this nav wrapper to override this header as it does here. If I show you, it overwrites my header. So in order to do so, I have to give position absolute to both my nav wrapper and my main header. Position absolute. Save this, and now it overwrites. But it has not overwritten because we can see this header over here. But no, it has overwritten, but you can see this because the background of this nav wrapper is transparent, and so we can see. But if we try to click these links and this hamburger menu, we cannot. And we can also see that the cursor is not getting pointer here, so we cannot so we can see that this is overwriting this header. And now if I add background to this, background background, let's say white, save it. Now we can see that it actually overwrites that header. And after that, let me remove this, and for the background I'll go to this nav wrapper, and inside that, before navbar, I'll create a div with a class of strip container strip container. Oh my god, strip container, yes. And now inside that I'll create 4 strips, and if you're wondering what these strips are, so let me show you. These four whitish background are nothing but the strips. Okay, so this is a simple trick that I used here to create the background. And okay, so now I'll give strip container the height of 100% and the width of 100%, so it takes up the whole size of this nav wrapper, whatever it is. And after that, to strip, I'll give it a height of 100% and a width of 25%. Okay, and let me also give a background to this, and let's say f7 f7 f7. Okay, so these strips, why I have given width of 25% and the height of 25%, the reason for this is because, let me show you here. Okay, so if I click on it, so you can see these 4 whitish background covers the whole device, and for that we have to give a width of 25% to each. So 25 times 4 equals 100%, and now height is 100%, as you can see. So this is the main reason why I did so. So here, but but you can see that each and every strip comes one after another, but we want to align them horizontally. So in order to do so, what we can do is we can say display flex to the parent element, and that would create this. Okay, and after that we have navbar. Okay, so I also want my navbar to override these strips. So I'll give position absolute to my strip container. Position. Oh, this typo. Absolute. And after that, I'll grab my navbar and give it a position of absolute. Save that. And now here it overrides the strip container. And now I want this to be at the very center of the page or this navbar. So I'll say height 100%, width 100%, and then I'll display flex and justify content center, align items center. So it perfectly centers everything good. And now to this nav list, I'll say display of flex, and after that I'll say list style none. After saving it, if I show you here, so it is something like this. Now I'll come to my nav item and give it a font size of maybe 2.5 rums. We'll adjust that afterwards, but for now I'm giving some uh, some values. Okay, and I'll give margin as well. Margin from top and bottom I want 0, and from left and right I want to give it a 1.5 m. Let's see, and here it is. So if I open this, so in my opinion those are perfectly same. Yes, the only thing is this font family and the color, and we can do so by going to this nav link, and first of all I will give text decoration none. After that I'll give color 121212, then font family, and for the font family uh, I have grabbed this one called the limelight. So here I'll come and say limelight cursive. You can find this on Google Fonts. Save it. Now here we have something like this. But we can see that it is not perfectly same. So I think I have to reduce the margin. So here I can reduce the margin to 1 m. Let's see. Yes, now they are perfect. After that after that what I want is I want my hamburger menu to appear here. But before that what I can do is I can, first of all, if someone has not clicked on this hamburger menu, we want the navbar to disappear. So in order to do that, what you can do is, first of all, we'll go to navwrapper and say pointer events none. So now we cannot click on any of the links, or not only click but hover, or okay. So yes, I forgot one thing, that I have to add a nav link hover effect. So let me comment it out, and now I have to add this hover effect, that underline effect. Okay, so I'll come to my nav link. After, I'll add content blank position absolute, and since I'm adding position absolute, I have to give a position to my parent element, and in this case I will give it a position relative. And after position absolute, what I will do is bottom of 0, left of 0, height of 5 pixels, width of 100%, background hashtag 121212. Or or what I can do is I can create a CSS variable for this, because I'm using these colors very frequently. So I can add a CSS variable for these. So I can say dark color 121212, or before that let me remove this, and now I'll say wherever it is 121212, I want to add variable dark color, control alt enter, like so. And here f7 f7 f7, wherever it is f7 f7 f7, I want it to be light color, control alt enter. Okay, and now we'll create dark color, and this is 121212, and then light color f7 f7 f7, and I also want one more color, primary color, and that is f1c40f, and this is my logo color. So I can say primary color here, save it, and it will not bring any change to our code, to our project. Let me see. And here at bottom I'll come good, but for now I want the width to be 0 so nobody can see, but whenever we hover on the links we want this to animate. And now here I'll say nav link hover after, and I want width to be 100%, and I also want a transition effect here, so transition 250 milliseconds is in out, and I also want only width to transition. Save it. Now if you come here, good. We also want a margin for this uh, after element, so I'll, through the parent element, I'll say padding padding bottom to 10 pixels, and to my nav link after I have already given it a bottom of 0. So now if we save it, works pretty well. Yes, very good. Now I want my nav wrapper to disappear, so I'll come to my nav wrapper and I'll uncomment this, and now I cannot add or click any of the links. If I show you, my cursor does not change to pointer, and we do not get that uh, hover effect. So now after this we want our strips from height 100% to height 0%, and now we do not get those strips, and now this is completely empty. We cannot see anything of that nav wrapper, but if in nav link I comment this and say color should be red, and then I show you, then we get this nav link. So this nav link has not disappeared. It is here, but we cannot click because to the parent element I have given pointer events to none. And but then also we can see this nav links, and this is a very bad thing. This was not appearing because the color was because the color was merging with the background, and so we could not see it. But there could be problem different if you want a different background or a different color to this. Okay, so we have to remove this, so we can add opacity 0. So if we come here, so what you can do is to nav link, or not nav link, come to nav item, and here I'll add opacity 0, and then if I try to show you, we cannot see. But before that, what I want is, let me uncomment this, and here I'll say transform translate x minus 50%, so that it is translated by 50% in the x direction or in the left direction. And now I want the opacity to be 0. And if I show you, okay, here we are. Now it is the JS part, so we'll come to main.js, and after everything at the bottom I'll say const hamburger equals document dot query selector, and I'll select this hamburger menu, I guess, Let's see what was that. Hamburger menu, yes. And after that I'll also select that nav wrapper, and I will say document dot query selector nav wrapper, and after all I'll say in hamburger dot add event listener. So I'll add an event listener to my hamburger menu, and if somebody, and it will listen to click and then a fat arrow function. Okay, and inside that what I want to do is hamburger dot class list dot toggle cross. So see what I'm doing here. I'm adding an event listener to this hamburger which will listen for this click, and whenever someone clicks on this hamburger menu, a function would be fired, and this is a fire function here, and inside that I'm saying hamburger.classList.toggle cross. So for, if I try to show you, I'll inspect that, and now let me inspect this, and if I click for the first time here, see here in this bluish background, if I click it, see, a cross class is added to this hamburger menu, and if I click once more, it is removed. So for the very first time, if I click on this, cross class will be added, and on the second time, it will be removed. Then it will be added, then removed, and all that. Okay. So now, same we have to do with this nav wrapper, and then I'll toggle and show. Good. Now we'll come to our CSS, and then we'll see where is hamburger menu. Here it is. So I'll say main header dot hamburger menu dot show. So whenever a class of show is added to it, what I want is um, here, not here. First of all, let me add something to this bar one, and then I'll come to this hamburger menu. So it was bar hyphen one, and now what I want it to do is transform rotate, because we want to make a cross, rotate minus 45 degrees, and then I'll copy the same thing here, copy, and then paste it here, bar 2, and then I'll remove this minus, so transform 45 degree. And now if I try to show you, nothing happens. And why it is so, let me see. uh, let me So bar 1, bar 2, transform rotate minus 45 degree, 45 degree, hamburger menu dot show, hamburger menu dot show. Okay, guys. So here we have added a cross class to this hamburger menu, but I have added show class to this nav wrapper. So how can I use show here? We have to use cross instead of this cross. Save it, and now if we see, here it is. So if I click here, the everything rotates as I gave styling in CSS, and so good. But I want these to be a perfect cross as it is here. So in order to do so, what we can do is dot main header dot hamburger menu dot cross, and here justify content center. So what this will do is, in the y axis it will center everything. Now it is not centered, the items are not centered. Okay, but if I click on it, let me show you. First let me comment this, and now I want to show you only this. So if I click on this, you can see that everything comes in center if I do so. Okay, and after coming in center, I added these so that this creates a cross. Very good. Now I want some transition effect here. So here I'll add transition to this bars, transition all 250 milliseconds is in out. If I save it, and now here it works pretty well, but when it comes in the center and it goes out from the center, it is very quick. So we want to change that. So we'll also add transition to my hamburger menu. All 250 milliseconds is in out. Save it. And now here, but that doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is justify content center. uh, it does not take any transition effect. It does not take any duration. It is very instantaneous. So we cannot add transition to this. But what we can do is we can cheat. We can fool the users for this website. We can say transform, rotate 360 degrees, and now if we save, boom. So now it works pretty well. After this, we have to create this navbar. So for that, we'll come to the bottom and say nav wrapper dot show, and if it is if it has a class of show, I'll say pointer events all, and after that I'll go to nav wrapper and then to nav wrapper dot show, and then after that what I want to do is I'll grab on the strips, and then I'll set the height to 100%. Now we save it, and if I try to show you, boom, so we get this white background. Okay, so I want some transition effect here, so I'll go to strip where it is, and yes, here I'll add some transition and some transition duration, and that may be 250 milliseconds. Ease in out, and we only want height to animate, so I'll say height. Save it. Now here if I reload and I click on it, boom. But now we want the hamburger menu to come after, or to come on this strips. So for that I'll play with z index. So I'll come to my hamburger menu and say z index and maybe 2 here. If I reload, so here we have the hamburger menu. You can see my cursor changes to pointer. So here we have hamburger menu, but we cannot see it because the background and the color matches. So in order uh, to handle that, what we'll do is whenever hamburger menu gets a class of cross, the bars should change the color to dark color. Now we save it. Now it works pretty well. Good. And now we want the strips to animate like this, one after another. So for that, what we'll do is we'll come to our HTML, and here in the strips I'll add some inline style, and then we'll set a variable here, let's say I, and here 0 second. And what I'm doing here, let me explain you. See, in all the strips I'm adding a variable. The first one is 0 milliseconds, or the first one maybe 750 milliseconds, and this would work as the transition delay. I'll make use of these in my CSS, and this will be the transition delay, and you will understand it more when we actually use it. So for now, let me just create this, but I'll try my best to explain this. Okay, so let me show you and then explain. That would be a bit easier for me. If I click on this, you can see the transition delay. The first one, the first one has a transition delay of 0. The second one starts as soon as the transition duration of this step overs. Okay, so everything is happening after the first one. Okay, so this is my last one. I want the transition delay to be 0, and it takes a transition duration of 250 milliseconds as we have given here to our strips. Okay, 250 milliseconds, and after 250 milliseconds, after the whole transition for this is over, now it will jump to this. because it has a transition delay of 250 milliseconds and it takes 250 milliseconds to complete. So it will start transitioning as soon as this is over. So now it will animate, it will take 250 milliseconds, and then it will, and then it will. Okay, so you can do this by gsap very easily, but we are creating the whole page by using only HTML CSS and JavaScript. Okay, so this is the reason why I'm doing so. And now here I'll come to my CSS, and to the strip I'll add transition delay of I. Okay, so this is I for this. uh, the transition delay for this would be I, and that I would be this, and for this the I would be this and this. Good. And now if I show you, it should work. Cool, it works. And now it is the time for this to animate these nav links. Okay, so that would be pretty same for this nav link also, but for the nav item I want that whenever nav wrapper has a class of show, the nav item should be transformed. And remember that I'm adding these to my nav item, not to nav link. Okay, transform translate x0 and opacity 1. We have not given any transition, so let us give a transition 250 milliseconds sees in out. Save that. Now here, reload first. You can see, all these. It gets a transition, but it does not wait for anything. It just comes and goes. Okay, so the entrance effect is not good, but the exit effect is good. Okay, so what we have to do to overcome that is I'll do pretty same thing here in this nav item. Okay, so you have to come on this nav item, not to nav link. Okay, so now here I'll say style, and then I should be maybe 1000 milliseconds, and you have to start everything by 1000 milliseconds because it is taking 1000 milliseconds. Okay, so it will start after 750 milliseconds, and it will take 250 milliseconds. So the whole strips will take a total of 1000 milliseconds or 1 second to complete. So we want these nav items to animate after these have completed animating. Okay, so after this the first one would have 1000 milliseconds, so as soon as it completes it will start, and then it will take 1250 milliseconds to complete, and after it completes I want this to animate, after that I want this to animate, after that I want this to animate. Cool. Okay, so now we'll do same thing to nav item. I'll add transition delay where I, and now if I show you, good, but see, it happens like that, and this is what is wrong here, and this will be because the transition delay I've set to 1200. So there is a transition delay. Okay, whatever it is, there is a transition delay, and for that it comes like this. So what I want is whenever this nav wrapper dot show is removed, whenever the show class is removed, here the show class is added, so it is animating, but we want whenever it is removed, we do not want any transition for these. Okay, so if the show class is added, we want this transition, no problem. But if show class is removed, we do not want that. Okay, so what we want, the transition delay, transition delay we want only when show class is added. Okay, so we want transition delay, yes, only when this show class is added. Okay, but if it is not added, we want it to be 0. I hope you have understood. Okay, so whenever show class is not added, we want transition delay 0, and whenever it is added, we want this. So now it should work. Okay, it works. Yes, it works. The only thing is we want to change the red color. Okay, we want to comment this, and let me remove this now. Save it. Now here. So this is our final result. So it works pretty good. So it totally works. Now in our next video we will make this responsive as it is here. If I try to show you, see, it is fully responsive and it works. And let me refresh it. Yes, here it is. So it is fully responsive here like this, and here like this. Good. Okay, so we'll make this responsive in our next video. So hit that like button down below and make sure you are subscribed to our channel and press the bell icon to get the instant notification of our latest videos. Thank you for watching.